Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be covering Brighton against Chelsea in the FA Cup on Saturday. It's a deja vu fixture as these sides face off twice within the space of just 6 days, and this will be the first of those two meetings. Brighton come into this game off the back of a hefty 7-0 thumping at the City ground, meaning that is back-to-back defeats against Everton and Nottingham Forest respectively. Hurtler did opt for a very attacking 11 in that game against Forest, only to find his side 3-0 down at the break, although that was slightly undeserved given that it was quite an evenly matched side up until the first 45 minutes. However, in the second period, Forest were much the better side. They thoroughly outclassed Brighton, and once heads dropped, Forest were able to capitalise ruthlessly, especially Chris Wood. After this poor couple of results for Brighton, I'm expecting a few changes. Hurtler has not been shy to experiment with his team sheets anyway, and that sort of does make Brighton a bit of a dangerous team to bet on. They have that sort of sense of unpredictability. For Chelsea, they managed a late turnaround at Stamford Bridge last time out against West Ham, a result which worked to put them in the top 4 above Manchester City. In this video, I'm going to cover the shots and fouls markets. I've picked up 2 standout selections for each. So without wasting any more time, let's start off with the shot market, and more specifically Brighton shots, which I think look a fair bit overpriced with Bet365. Realistically for me, it's a toss-up between backing Rutter, Welbeck or João Pedro for a shot on target. As it stands at the time of recording, João Pedro is priced at 1.8 for a shot on target. Welbeck and Rutter are at 2.0, which I think is a fantastic price. You rarely get those players backable for a shot on target at home. The player I've decided to go with in the end is João Pedro. I think his price at 1.8 is the best value, even though it is the shortest of the 3, and he actually is averaging the lowest shots per 90 of those 3 at home in all competitions this season. However, just looking into the data, we can see that he has, I would say, the most secure minutes of those 3, even though he did obviously get hooked at half-time against Forest, but that was a bit of an anomaly fixture. In his last 4 home games, he's completed the full 90, landed a shot on target in 3 of those, including the last 3. When starting, he's landed this bet in 5 out of 6 home starts, and his data is just very, very consistent. He will also be the man on penalties, so I think 90 minutes, penalty taker, striker, 1.8 just looks a bit too big for that. I wouldn't really want to deter you from backing any of the other players I've mentioned. I do think their prices do present good opportunity, decent value, but it might just be worth waiting for team sheets potentially. Alternatively, I do think Welbeck to register 2 or more shots at 1.53 looks another fantastic play. He hasn't landed a shot on target in each of his last 3, but he will be likely on free kicks, and he has landed this bet in every single home start this season. Another player who I wanted to quickly highlight is Kaoru Mitoma, who is priced at 1.8 to register 2 or more shots with Bet365. He's also been quite consistent on the shots front, popping off 2 or more efforts in 7 out of 10 home starts in all competitions this season, and he also managed 2 shots in the reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge. I'm going to talk about that a bit more later, but in that game, Cole Palmer scored 4 goals in the first half, so it wasn't that competitive of a fixture, and he has seen a pretty sizable uptick in shots at home, so I do think he could potentially be another player to target if he does start. Moving on to the fouls markets, and I do like the prospect of fouls in this game. You've got both sides ranking quite high in the table for fouls committed and drawn. If we look into the fouls drawn stats, Chelsea ranked 4th in the league this season, Brighton ranked 6th. And for fouls, Brighton ranked 5th and Chelsea ranked 8th. So, 2 sides who like to get involved in duels. And I'm going to start off by circling back to a familiar face, and that is João Pedro, who is also priced at 1.8 to commit a foul with Bet365. Now, comparing to the rest of the industry, they are well above everyone else. The average price is around sort of 1.4, 1.5 mark, which I would say is closer to a fair price. If we look into João Pedro's data since returning from injury, he's landed this bet in 9 out of 13 starts in all competitions, including against the likes of Arsenal, Aston Villa, Man United, the tougher, more competitive games. So I think this price of 1.8 really stands out, especially against the Chelsea side, who are quite adept at drawing fouls, particularly in midfield and through their defenders. Finally, moving over to a Chelsea player, and it is for Enzo Fernandez to register 2 or more fouls which is priced at 2.2 with Bet365. Looking into his data, over the last 11 games, he's landed this bet in 7 of those, including making at least 1 foul in 10 of those games. And comparing him to Caicedo, the data doesn't look too different, and it just highlights how those two in midfield for Chelsea are tasked with contesting so many duels. Again, what stands out for me is the fact that over those last 11 games for Enzo Fernandez, he's completed the full 90, which always is important when you take bets with Bet365. Now, the reason I compare him to Caicedo is because the Ecuadorian is priced at 1.66 to register 2 or more fouls, so significantly shorter despite the two having very similar data, and they will have obviously the same matchup. Now, if we look into how Brighton have been drawing fouls this season, we can see João Pedro is averaging 2.08 drawn per 90, Baleba 1.78 per 90, and Rutter 2.41 per 90. So you've got 3 players who will operate in the same sort of zone as Enzo Fernandez, who have pretty ridiculous fouls drawn numbers this season. They've been a magnet for drawing fouls in midfield for Brighton so far. And I think that makes sort of Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo big targets. Now, the reason I only have highlighted Enzo Fernandez is because he has significantly better odds than Caicedo. Enzo Fernandez made just a 1 foul in the reverse fixture. He was booked for dissent early in the first half after just 30 minutes. He was also subbed after 79 minutes. So not really the right conditions for him to sort of rack up the fouls. In addition, João Pedro didn't play, who's been one of the better players at drawing fouls for Brighton, as I mentioned already. Meanwhile, Caicedo, his midfield partner, made 4 fouls in the midfield, so there were plenty of duels to be had, and hopefully this time round Enzo Fernandez can get a bit more involved. That will be all the angles I intended to cover in this video, so just to quickly summarize, I've mentioned João Pedro to register a shot on target, which is priced at 1.8. All of the bets I've mentioned are with Bet365. Welbeck to pick up 2 or more shots at 1.53. Mitoma to register 2 or more shots at 1.8. João Pedro to register a foul, which is priced at 1.8, again with Bet365. And Enzo Fernandez to register 2 or more fouls, which is priced at 2.2. Thank you for your support on the video. Best of luck for any bets that you decide to go with. And I will catch you all in the next one, so take care.